Welcome back to Taiwanica. I'm going to be honest, the last few episodes did not land the way that I hoped. And when that happens, you have two choices. You can protect your ego and say people just don't get it, or you can ask a harder question. 这个节目正在要求我成为什么样的人? And that question stayed with me because maybe Taiwanica does not only need more ideas. Maybe it needs more real stories. Maybe it needs, people who are not just talking about courage, clarity, and building a meaningful life in Taiwan, but actually living it. And that is why something new is coming to the show. I'm going to start interviewing people who are building something meaningful in Taiwan, a business, a project, a new version of themselves. But I want to say this clearly. Even if you are just not starting a business, this series is still for you because you are building something too. 你不一定要创业，但你一定正在建立你自己的某种人生。Maybe you are building confidence. Maybe you are building a healthier relationship. Maybe you are building a new direction after feeling stuck. So this is not just an entrepreneurship series. This is about building something in Taiwan and being changed by that process. 这是一个关于人在台湾经历东西，然后被这个过程改变的系列。That is the real story. Not only what they built, but who they became. Not only the success, the pressure before the success. Not only the strategy, the responsibility they choose to carry. Because building something meaningful is not light. 真的有, you have to face your own weaknesses. You have to keep going when the first version does not work. And that is why I wanted to start to understand not just how did you grow, but 你怎么过程难的时候，台湾教会你什么？这个过程怎么改变你？ There's got to be reasons for when it was difficult and times that were difficult. How did you learn from them? And what was your process? That is where the lesson is. That is where the human being is. And that is why this is still belonging to Taiwanica. Taiwanica is not only about Taiwan. It is about Taiwan and what it brings out of us. Taiwan 让你看见自己. Sometimes it shows you about patience. Sometimes it shows you how to use your fear. Sometimes it shows you where you still need to grow. If you have lived here for a while, you know this. Taiwan is beautiful, but Taiwan is not always simple. There are rules nobody fully explains. 有些规则不是在纸上. You learn them through mistakes, through awkward conversations, through realizing, oh, I thought I understood, but I didn't. That can humble you. 在台湾，只有想法不够. You also need to have patience, not just thinking. 要有耐心. You need trust. 信任. You need to listen before assuming. 先听再判断. The idea of this is not to judge. And this is not only a business lesson. That is a life lesson. And that is why I want to bring these conversations to Taiwanica. I do not want shiny success stories. I don't want fake motivation. I want real stories. 很正式的故事，你知道吗？ Real pressure. 真实的压力 and real growth. 真实的成长。Because one of the hardest parts of building anything meaningful is feeling alone while you do it. You are trying to make something work. You are trying to find the next step. You are trying to become the kind of person who can carry the responsibility. And from the outside, people may only see the surface. But inside, you know the truth. 我还在学，我还在调整，我还在找方向。And honestly, that is the part of why I'm doing this. One of the things about me is that I'm always constantly learning how to grow. And I have made many mistakes over the years of building Taiwanica and my business Start Now. In these times, I've had lots of great ideas, but I didn't take action on any of them because I felt like my problems were only aligned with me and me alone. So thinking that I could have these issues was something I should feel bad about. And I never asked. That was the problem. I never asked anybody if my problems were the same as theirs. And being stuck in that kind of thinking process, it got me into thinking, well, maybe I'm not the only one thinking like this. And, that cost me years, cost me so many years of just thinking about the same thing and not doing anything. That cost me money. That cost me time. And the worst of all, it cost me time away from the things I love doing, like doing my practices or my exercise, or even more important, time with the people I love. So Taiwanica is changing because I'm changing. And the last few episodes made me stop and ask myself if I was really listening, not just creating, not just posting, not just trying to make another episode, but actually listening. 我真的有在听吗? I'm building Taiwanica. I'm building Start Now. And I'm building my coaching work in Taiwan. And sometimes building feels exciting. Sometimes it feels slow. And sometimes it feels unclear. And sometimes it makes you question yourself. But maybe that is the part of the responsibility. 如果你想建立的意义的东西，你也愿意得被它改变。That is what I want this next chapter to explore. People who are building something outside themselves while something inside them is being shaped at the same time, because that is self-leadership. 这个不是只有创业，这是自我领导。Before we continue, this is also why I created Start Now. A lot of people do not need more random motivation. They need a place to train clarity, confidence, emotional control, and self-worth. Start Now has over 500 personal development trainings you can read, listen to, and watch when you need a reset. The link in this episode description. You can check it down below. As these interviews come out, I want you to listen with one question in mind. 我现在在建立什么? What is it that I'm trying to establish in my life? Not what I am waiting for, or not what I'm complaining about, not what I'm hoping it will fix. What am I building? Because life does not change through ideas alone. 人生不是只想靠你的改变。人生不是只靠想法改变。It changes through action. One decision, one conversation, one honest step. Maybe when you hear these stories, you will see your own next step more clearly. Maybe you will realize, 我不能一直等. I cannot wait forever. Maybe you will also realize, 我不需要全部的想法清楚，我需要一个清楚的下一步。Okay, it's all about knowing not everything, but instead just the next step. That's the point of all of this. Clarity is not always something you find out before you act. Sometimes clarity is created by action. 如果你也在台湾建立新的方向，但你觉得卡住、不清楚、能量分散，欢迎来预约免费30分钟一个清晰对话。In that conversation, we will look at where you are, what feels unclear, and what next step would you help you move forward with more confidence, purpose, and direction. And if you know someone in Taiwan who is building something meaningful, send me their name. A business, a project, a community. I would love to hear their story, and I'm sure many people on here would as well. Because this next chapter of Taiwanica is about people who choose to build something here and what that choice taught them. 在台湾建立东西，常常也代表你正在成为一个新自己。That is what is coming. And that is this episode. I'll see you next time.